What's good, everybody? It's Todd Smith and Dale Clifford here once again for another episode of the No Gimmicks podcast. Dale, what's good, my man?
Not a lot, Todd, not a lot. Actually, hold on. Not a lot. What am I talking about? Not a lot. Stuff's pretty good. Stuff's pretty good. We got another recording going on. Let me say, it's not a lot in the realm of good for Roman Reigns. Let me fix myself there.
Yeah. It's pretty hot out there in Fernley. It's probably pretty hot under the collar for Roman Reigns right now, too, right?
Yeah, hopefully. The only thing that kind of bugs me a little bit about this is WWE doesn't seem to be changing course, and they knew all of this was coming, and that bugs me a little bit.
Yeah, so what Dale was alluding to, for those who were listening out there, Roman Reigns received a 30-day suspension for violating the WWE wellness policy. No further details are really available to us at this point. We're not sure exactly which substance he abused or what exactly he was suspended for. But yeah, it's just like they come out and they acknowledge it, and he put out the statement as well. And the one thing I could say that I appreciate about it is that he owned it. Yeah. He came out and said, look, no excuses. I did this. It's nobody's fault but mine. I apologize to the WWE, my family, my friends, my fans. I let you guys down. And I'm just going to come out and say this right now. This is something that might very well work out in Roman Reigns' favor. And the reason I say that is because he's been pushed as like this, can't do anything wrong, babyface for so long. The fans absolutely hated that. Now that he's shown a bit of, his imperfections, he's just a regular everyday guy, just like the rest of us, except for the fact he's about 6'3", about 260 pounds. He's got movie star looks and probably makes a whole lot more money than the rest of us. But other than that, he's just like us, right?
Oh, yeah, just like us, Roman Reigns.
But I guess what I'm trying to say here is the fans might be able to relate to him a little bit more now because they see, his imperfections.
Maybe. I don't know. It's just the tough part for me is this just feels like, in a sense, of a wellness policy violation for a guy that really wasn't getting over as a face. How can he now come back and expect to still remain a face in the company? So that
how can he remain relevant is pretty much what you're alluding to, right?
No, a face. It's like how can WWE try to push him as being the fan guy? Because it's like we've been over it. He's kind of the great character, but WWE doesn't want him to be a heel. It's like they want him to be a guy that is somewhat cheered, sort of a la John Cena. But that's the thing. It's like now you're talking about a guy who's coming off of failing a wellness policy test, which is like cheating in some aspect, and you really want him to be a guy that you're going to be called the face of the company.
True.
At the moment. So that's just kind of where I'm going. And obviously, they still plan on keeping him relevant. He's still slated to be in the triple threat match at Battleground for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Now, the only thing is that I'm hoping is he doesn't immediately get the title right back, because I really feel like everything that happened at Money in the Bank is because WWE knew this was coming and he couldn't be the champion coming out of Money in the Bank and then get suspended.
Good point. Very good point. But like I said, I think once Seth Rollins made his return from his injury, I think I kind of felt like Roman Reigns was just kind of like the placeholder.
I'm hoping you're right.
This whole time.
Hoping you're right.
And then they decided to go with Dean. And like I said, they're kind of trying something fresh and deciding anew with him. But it's just kind of like, yeah, I think there is some part of WWE who realized, okay, this isn't quite working out the way we want it to. So, maybe we do need to go with the guy, who we can possibly try something, a little bit different with.
I'm hoping that your take is better than mine. I don't really want it to be that Dean Ambrose got the title at Money in the Bank because WWE just needed Roman to go away for 30 days, then come back and become a 4-time World Heavyweight Champion in less than a year.
That would be very disappointing.
Very. And I had been on the Roman train for a while. I kind of started to fade at the end, and this really would push me completely against Roman Reigns, because right now WWE just needs to do the PR move and take a step back from a guy who just failed a drug test, whatever it was for. But they kind of need to use this as a moment to to lower him down a little bit, try to and then reestablish and build him back up once again.
Right. So speaking of that, let's talk about the pay-per-view schedule that's going to be altered for the WWE. Once the WWE has the draft and the brand split occurs, it looks like we're going to be dealing with each other a whole lot more, Dale, because not only are we going to get to do one pay-per-view recap per month, we'll be doing 2.
Oh, fantastic. I get to disagree with you more and more every month now. All right.
Yeah. How wonderful is that, right? So, yeah, from the way it's looking, they will keep up the schedule of having, the one major pay-per-view per month for Royal Rumble, for WrestleMania, for Survivor Series, I believe, and then SummerSlam.
If it was a named pay-per-view that had some pretty big recognition, it gets its solo pay-per-view of the month. But in the off months that are kind of just the tweener filler months in between the big main pay-per-views, we'll get 2.
Yeah, there's going to be 2. Now, I just have to, wonder about that, because does that kind of make it to where they're going to start watering things down a bit? Because the last time when they went this route and they did the brand split, this is probably going back about 10 years or so ago, it almost seemed like, they were giving you so much good wrestling, on the pay-per-views and whatnot. It kind of meant that the TV, from week to week kind of suffered. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, a little bit, but I really think that we're kind of in a era that, I don't know. It's like watered down. It's like, I'm hoping not, but this definitely is going to be a challenge for creative to figure it out, because we know that Raw and SmackDown are going to have the 2 unique rosters. So really, depending on whether or not it gets watered down, honestly, is going to be how they have plotted to put who on what show.
Correct.
Because they can have certain guys help carry shows.
Mm-hmm.
Like Kevin Owens is a good guy that could be placed on a SmackDown to help SmackDown out.
Definitely.
It's like you keep Ambrose and Rollins on Raw. It's like that'll help.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you got guys there. It's like, but if you're gonna have interesting though, will be where Roman Reigns gets placed in the draft, considering that he won't even be in attendance on draft night.
Yeah, and that's gonna be awkward,
Very much, because how do you draft a dude who's still on suspension?
Yeah, and I mean, you just gotta figure that's gonna get some sort of a mention, some sort of a reaction from the crowd, when that draft pick occurs.
Right.
They're probably gonna say, "Where is he?" Clap, 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 or something like that, or "Where is Roman?"
Well, I don't know. It's like "Where's Roman" is kind of a face chant. I don't really expect that one.
Mm-hmm.
As I expect the first Raw chant anyway to kind of be something related to "You're a cheater" or something.
Or release Roman Reigns. Well, something along those lines.
It's like, we'll see, but I definitely feel like he's going to get a "You're a cheater" at Battleground. So
speaking of someone who used to kind of be looked at as the face of the company, who's now his role has kind of diminished a little bit, we had this angle between Cena and AJ Styles from this past week, where him and his boys, Anderson and Gallows, they were supposed to be giving an apology to John Cena because of what had taken place over the past week, where they kind of came out and interfered, and AJ was able to get the win at the most recent pay-per-view. That was Money in the Bank, by the way. So as we know, they're putting them on the whole entire time.
Oh no, great! This is the best apology ever. Best apology ever. You didn't believe him? I believed him.
Hey,
I believed that they were sorry.
Hey, you know what? I'll take it. That's all I have to say. I just love the fact that increasingly over the weeks, I'm beginning to see more of the Bullet Club aspects of the club. They've kind of altered the ring gear a little bit. I noticed that they're even wearing like the black now instead of wearing the white. Their attire, if you didn't notice, actually has little. It's kind of a subtle, how can I say, gesture to the Bullet Club. It actually has bullet holes in their gear. Have you noticed that at all?
Yeah, it's like, and I also kind of noticed that I think they added some Japanese on the side of the.
Yes, they did. I noticed some kanji, I believe.
Yeah, so I definitely think they're moving in the direction of slowly bringing in the features of the Bullet Club that the club had when they were New Japan.
Right.
I just think they wanted to. They couldn't immediately throw it on their mainstream WWE audience, so I think that it's going to be a slow build to build them back up to that stage. I think that's where we're going with that.
Because as I was watching, I just totally said to myself, I said, okay, this is some good stuff here. Because I said, the whole, smart ass, almost kind of like smarky, heelish demeanor of those guys. I just said, this is beginning to kind of develop a little bit into what they once were. And, as we know, Cena he worked the match with Anderson. And he wound up squashing. But of course,
I did not like that match one bit. I kind of was hoping that they were gonna at least let Carl Anderson show something of being a singles competitor. And
that was disappointing.
And he showed absolutely nothing.
Yeah, because I've said this once before, and I will reiterate this once again. Carl Anderson, probably out of that trio, is the most talented member of the club. If you got a chance to see in this guy's work from when he was over there in New Japan, not only is this guy a tag team specialist, and the reason why he carries the last name Anderson, I know we constantly allude to how guys like the Revival reminds us of the Andersons from back in the day. Arn Anderson, Ole Anderson, and like when Arn Anderson was part of the Brainbusters tag team with Tully Blanchard.
Right.
Well, this guy, I know you're probably going to say, well, no, what, Sherlock, but he is not related to the Andersons, but he carries that name because he's loosely considered as a member of the Anderson wrestling family.
Gotcha. Okay.
And the Andersons were always known as being tag team specialists. And this guy, if you would see some of his stuff that he did from over there, like some of the promos that he's cut and some of his mannerisms and some of his idiosyncrasies, he reminded me a lot of Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Okay. Yeah, I could see it a little bit.
And I'm telling you, even, kind of loosely, I mean, not exactly, like spot on look, but I mean, with the shaved head and the facial hair and whatnot, and similar build even.
Even speaking on that, I believe this week marked the 20th anniversary of Austin 316.
Ah, okay.
So, they had the Bullet Club do a little promo and salute. I don't know what they said, but I just know that they had Gallows and Anderson do a promo to talk about the 20th anniversary of Austin 316. So there you go.
Interesting indeed. Yeah, I just say, as time passes, you'll get to see some more of each one of those guys and what each one of them has to offer because AJ, of course, is the technical specialist and the high flyer. Gallows is just a big bruiser. That guy, he's a hard hitting big man, and I think he's actually pretty solid in the ring. If you put him in there with the right guy, he could put on a pretty quality match. But Anderson, man, that guy, he is so being held back right now. And once they finally give him a chance to actually do what he can do, he's going to definitely develop a pretty strong following in the WWE.
But again, two things that are going to get me disappointed in WWE or frustrated, I'll say, is if Roman Reigns gets the title immediately back and AJ Styles does not get the overall victories with John Cena.
Not gonna disagree with you at all there, Dale.
So I'm hoping
not at all.
So I'm hoping WWE sees the light with both of these guys and goes in the right direction. AJ Styles kind of needs the wins, as we've discussed. John Cena doesn't, and I hope that WWE eventually gets to the point where John Cena doesn't necessarily need to keep coming out on top of all of these feuds. That at some point he has to be the guy to move the roster and the young guys forward.
Yes. It's looking that way. I believe that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. So while we're on the topics of returns and lights, let's talk about how the Wyatt family made their return on Monday night here. So the Wyatts made their triumphant return, interrupting my least favorite stable in the WWE, the New Day.
Well, actually, New Day interrupted them.
Oh, okay. So let's turn that around. The New Day, you're correct. They actually interfered while the Wyatts were giving their promo. But it's just kind of like, I'm saying to myself here, this is my thoughts here. I want your take on this. The Wyatts are going to have a chance at the tag team titles. That's about the only reason why I'm really excited about this at all. Because other than that, from like a match standpoint, I'm just not really intrigued by a matchup between the Wyatts and the members of the New Day. What's your take on that, Dale?
Well, it definitely feels like we're going to see a tag team title match between the Wyatts and the New Day. My only thought was, I guess Bray is now going to enter into a tag team, or is he just continuing to be a mouthpiece, and we're getting Strowman and Rowan? Because if it's Strowman and Rowan, I already know that New Day is just going to mow right through and move on. Even though you would look at the size of Strowman and Rowan and be like, why can't these guys be champions? Neither one of them have an ounce of anything to carry the tag team championships. They would be solely resting on Bray Wyatt. So I have to feel like this is a moment where you're definitely seeing the Wyatts miss Luke Harper, maybe.
Yes.
Before this feud works itself out, we do see Luke Harper return. I'm hoping.
Please, Luke Harper, please come back soon.
Other than that, Bray Wyatt, at this point, maybe Bray Wyatt is just going to be in a tag team with either Strowman or Rowan, and then go for the titles. But I don't. Yes. It doesn't really. I just this pairing just doesn't make any sense to me. But again, it was. I guess they needed the Wyatts to come back, and then they get paired with another group of three, which is the New Day. But because New Day are tag team champions, now you're thinking that the Wyatt family's going after the titles, but I just don't know where the actual tag team is in the Wyatt family.
There's a couple of intriguing things going on here. You know, all valid points, which you just made. But we have, you know, possibly the opportunity to see two different units of three guys possibly abuse the Freebird rule. You know, of like if the Wyatts do possibly get the tag straps, you know, are they gonna do the whole revolving lineup kind of thing, like the New Day used recently at they used that at Extreme Rules, I believe it was. Also, like I said, you got it's Strowman and Eric Rowan, not Roman Reigns, who have absolutely no charisma whatsoever. Like I said, I mean, I probably would rather watch paint dry than watch those two guys in the ring. They have no workability. I mean, when I look at Eric Rowan, I'll tell you exactly who he reminds me of. You know the guy who's the groundskeeper on The Simpsons? I believe his name is Groundskeeper Willie, where he does that thing where he gets all big and swollen and everything and kind of tears the jumpsuit off. That's who Eric Rowan reminds me of.
Okay, yeah, and then, I can see it. At least he gets compared to something. It's like, what in the world is Braun Strowman?
Oh, my goodness. So you might be a little younger, so you might not quite remember this movie series. This is kind of one of those things where, like, you'll know you were raised in the 80s when you remember this kind of thing. There was a series of films called The Revenge of the Nerds. And they had this guy, I want to say his name was Donald Gibb. I think that was his real name. He portrayed the character of Ogre. And Ogre was like the huge, you know, like goon for this, like the evil bad guy fraternity, who was always trying to hold the nerds down. And whenever he would see the nerds, he'd always do this thing where he'd just kind of sit there and snarl at him. He'd be like, nerds. That's who Braun Strowman reminds me of. Ogre from Revenge of the Nerds.
Okay, I never watched the movies, but I did hear of them, so I'll take your word for it on that one. Although
nothing award-winning, you haven't missed too much.
Your comparisons always haven't been great, but I think you might actually finally be getting hang of it.
Well, thank you, Dale. I take that as a compliment coming from you. But yeah, so my whole point is, yeah, Bray Wyatt, I could get on the the bandwagon for it because, like I said, I think he's at least entertaining enough and whatnot. And his matches, if you put him in there with the right guy, he could put on something pretty decent. But yeah, those other two, wow, I mean, it's just amazing how bad they are. And like I said, for being as big and mean and tough as they're supposed to be, I'm not really that intimidated by either one of them. But Luke Harper, on the other hand, I'm going to give him a good, look-alike comparison because I'm not sure if you ever heard this name, Dale. Bruiser Brody.
Yep.
You remember Bruiser Brody? Yep. Luke Harper is the 2016 version of Bruiser Brody. I mean, that guy, he is a spitting image of him. I'm just waiting for him to come out to the ring wearing the fuzzy boots and carrying the chain and start going, huss, 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 like Bruiser Brody used to do back in the day. That guy was a madman. And Luke Harper has very similar qualities, that dead, stare, the blank stare that he does, and when he does the thing where he kind of points at his head and like with his hands and whatnot. He just reminds me so much of him.
The positive in terms of Luke Harper possibly coming back is that I believe he's now on a movie set. So movie set means healthy.
Exactly.
And so once I think he wraps up the movie filming that he's got for the movie Mohawk, I believe he'll be back. So obviously, just like Seth Rollins, who we were waiting for him to finish filming and he returned, I think we're a couple weeks away from Luke Harper, which is drastically needed for the Wyatt family to kind of regain their hierarchy.
Their work rate.
Yes.
Their work rate ability,
Absolutely.
if nothing else.
Because Bray can handle his own, but when it comes to the tag team portion of the stable, they are in drastic need of Luke Harper.
Yes, dire straits indeed. So we saw a decent amount of returns on Monday night, but one in particular that I know my boy Matt Baczynski, if he's out there listening to this, that he is a big fan of this gal here, the Boss. The Boss was in the building on Monday night. I'm not talking about anybody other than Miss Sasha Banks. It was good to see her back on Monday, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And again, I kind of thought this is where we were going. It was even better to kind of see that we had Paige in the mix, and then Sasha Banks came out to make the save on Paige, which I thought both Paige and Sasha needed to be just elevated and back on TV again.
Yes. Sasha was dearly missed from WWE TV, and like I said, it's just amazing to see how much steam it was referred to as the Divas Revolution, because that's what it was. It's now more the Women's Wrestling Revolution that they had going from about a year or so ago. How much steam that lost, but like I said, hopefully things will pick up a little bit, and then hopefully we'll get to see Emma's return here in the near future as well. Throw her into the mix and get some good women's matches and wrestling action going once again.
My only thought is at Battleground, who all is involved when it comes to the women's division in the matches at Battleground? Because I'm thinking we're saving this for Charlotte and Sasha at SummerSlam. But we got one in the middle. So are we going to get another tag team match?
Possibly. I could see another tag team match coming.
It's and that just makes sense because obviously Charlotte has Dana, and you can easily just pair them up against Paige and Sasha, and it's a completely different tag team match than you had at Money in the Bank.
Because I'm assuming we're going to keep Becky Lynch and Natalya, that whole little thing they have going completely separate from this. Because I was going to say, with the rate that the women are turning on each other, stab each other in the back, who knows? It might just turn into a big melee, and they kind of have almost like a, like one of those matches where everybody's kind of at everybody's throats, kind of thing. Speaking of throats, people with throaty sounding voices, the return of People Power. John Laurinaitis.
Oh, no. It was right the first time. Come on.
Now, I'm not going to lie. Like I said, I absolutely have no interest in this guy being an on-screen figure once again. I wasn't a fan of his run the first time around. About the only thing good that I could really say is connected to John Laurinaitis is his last name, because for those of you who aren't aware who are listening to the program, John Laurinaitis' brother is actually Road Warrior Animal from the Legion of Doom. I'm not sure if you guys were aware of that or not. Also, his nephew would be James Laurinaitis, who was a linebacker at Ohio State and also played for the Rams there for a while. I'm not sure. Is he still with the Rams still, or has he moved on?
He is now with the New Orleans Saints.
Okay, he's with the Saints now. That's about the only thing likable about this guy. Other than that, really, like I said, I could absolutely care less. I mean, I don't know if that guy, where did he get that outfit from? I don't know if he robbed, something from out of Craig Sager's closet or what. I mean,
yeah, it was pretty bad, but definitely seems like we had Teddy Long, now John Laurinaitis. I'm wondering who is going to be next, because it just seems like we are bringing back people that used to be in control, teasing who is going to end up running the show when we get to the July 19th SmackDown draft.
My money's on Vicky Guerrero. I'm waiting for Vicky Guerrero to make a return.
Oh, that one would be very interesting.
Excuse me. Oh, boy. Like nails on a chalkboard.
Oh, but you know what? I would take Vicky Guerrero over John Laurinaitis any day.
I would, and I think actually if they did kind of like a dueling general managers kind of thing, her and Teddy would definitely play off of one another better.
It could.
Than say if
but
they went with Teddy and John Laurinaitis.
I do think in the end, though, this is just built to be Stephanie and Triple H versus Shane in the end. But I think they're kind of teasing this because I don't really know how long Shane McMahon is sticking around for. So if that's the case, if he's just here for a short period of time, he can't really take over a show.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
it will be interesting. Maybe they're just trying to get the judge reactions to see how people are interested in any of these people actually coming back, and then maybe they'll pull the trigger and keep one of them around. If not, then
I'm quite sure. They're testing the waters. They're trying to see, like what people's thoughts are, how they feel about each one of them. Because Teddy actually got a pretty decent reaction when he came back a few weeks ago. Yeah. Let's talk about the match, the continued feud we have going on here between the Lone Wolf, Baron Corbin, and the Long Island IZ, Zack Ryder. So these guys
continued feud. This is kind of new.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of carrying over from the matches that they were having on like the pre-shows.
Gotcha. Well,
from some of the more recent pay-per-views. I mean, it's actually developing quite nicely. Oh, you're 100% correct. I don't know where my head is at tonight, Dale.
I'll spin you back in the right direction here.
Spin me in the right direction, man.
Dolph Ziggler was having the feud with Baron Corbin. Zack Ryder was not.
Yes, he was.
Zack Ryder.
Yes.
This match was okay, but again, I just think it's another throw Zack Ryder to the Wolves, or the Wolf, as we should say.
The Lone Wolf. Yeah.
With Corbin, and then have Corbin just go on his way. And now I think it was you that was bringing up, or maybe it was my father-in-law bringing up Baron Corbin's receding hairline. And now I just can't look at him without thinking of how bad he is balding on the top of his head and how long his hair is in the back.
Yes, he's got the whole Paul Heyman skullet thing going on there.
So,
yeah.
And I'm just having a hard time now looking at him and being like, man, he really is starting to lose it on top, and he has such long hair in the back. I don't know how long he's going to want to keep going with that. But
maybe he needs to start using whatever hair dye it is that LeBron James is using to kind of dye his scalp, because we know his is receding as well too.
But yeah, definitely it's a good comparison to maybe you should just chop off the top and then put it in a ponytail like Paul Heyman did there for a long time.
Yeah, and Paul finally let his go. He at least kind of got rid of the longer part at I guess how they say it with the mullet. At least it's supposed to be what is it? It's party in the front and or party in the bad business in the front, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess the business is closed for Baron Corbin because
yeah. But that was just the entire time. After that, those comments started going into my head when I was watching him and Zack Ryder Monday. All I could do was just keep staring at the top of Baron Corbin's head. Like, yeah, he really is starting to lose his hair.
Yeah, and the lights are shining.
So I don't really know what that means in terms of this match. It's like when my attention was completely just staring at the balding of Baron Corbin's head.
Well, now that I know who actually was involved in the match, I'm actually kind of backtracking a little bit here. Sorry about that, folks. I don't remember the match going very long, and I do remember Corbin going over pretty easily within the end of the days.
Correct.
Yeah. I don't remember Zach really getting a whole lot of offense in that match.
About 60 seconds here to cap off our look back at Monday Night Raw. We'll touch on your two favorite people, Titus O'Neil and Rusev, as they continue going at it. And Titus got a little bit of set on revenge as he was out to get retribution on Rusev for the insults that he made about his family. And basically this was just a Titus O'Neil beatdown of Rusev. So these two are not done.
You know what? In this one, I'm just going to go ahead and say this. I'm not going to spend too much time on either one of these two clowns. I guess if I had to, choose the lesser two evils, I actually probably would go with Titus in this feud, to be perfectly honest with you. I mean, I just can't. I cannot root for Rusev. I just can't bring myself to do it.
Yeah, because I feel the same way. It was going back to WrestleMania 31 when he had the U.S. title match against John Cena, and how basically Cena does what he does, but he's just one of the guys that I have a hard time rooting for. But I just had to at WrestleMania root for John Cena against Rusev because I also felt like un-American at that particular moment. But anyway, so
hey, and you know what? I will say this to his credit. That was probably the best match that guy's ever worked. I mean, to be perfectly honest with you, him and John put on a pretty decent match at Mania. I thought,
and I think that's credit to John Cena.
To John Cena, definitely
he delivers when the lights are the brightest.
Mm-hmm. Yes, indeed, and the lights were very bright that night when you were there, weren't they? That was at WrestleMania from about a year ago.
Yeah, 31 out in Santa Clara. 31.
Yeah. So that caps off our Raw discussion from this week. So for those of you who are tuning in, you are listening to the No Gimmicks podcast hosted by Dale Clifford and Todd Smith. Now we're moving on to NXT, the developmental territory of the WWE. So our first match, talking about this guy, the Perfect 10, Ty Dillinger, who faced off against newcomer, formerly known as Christopher Gerard, also known as Biff Busick out there in the Indies, now be known as, let me see if I'm pronouncing this right, Dale. Is it Oni Lorcan?
Correct. You got it.
Now, I'm telling you something here. This has got to be one of the most unique sounding names I've ever heard a wrestler have. And I remember, before the show we were kind of discussing, I knew a girl who had the name Ani, but that's slightly different pronunciation of the name Oni that we have going on here. But yeah, the guy, no matter what his name is, he can work his butt off. This guy reminds me a lot of a guy who you and I actually encountered out in the indie scene by the name of Timothy Thatcher.
Yeah, Timothy Thatcher's big name out in Evolve now. Definitely with the eyes on WWE. I definitely see that. I also see Oni as a combination of Timothy Thatcher and Cesaro.
And Cesaro, yep. This guy has the hard-hitting, technical style.
He threw an uppercut on Ty Dillinger that is like 100% reminded me of Cesaro.
Yeah, that knocked the spit out of his mouth.
Yeah.
And if I recall correctly.
Knocked him right out of the ring.
Yeah. Now, this guy, he is legit, and I like the finisher that he's using. The finisher that he ended the match with, it was almost kind of like a jumping, twisting, cutter type maneuver. It kind of reminds me of a move that Cena actually used early on when he was still the kind of like the Dr. Thugonomics style John Cena, when he kind of used a move called a throwback, I believe it was. Remember that?
Yeah. Well, I was just going to say, it's like Lorcan's moves kind of where he does a sunset flip type thing over the top into a neck breaker.
Yeah. So. It reminded me a lot of the throwback that Cena used to use. Ty Dillinger, I can't reiterate it enough. I said this in some of our previous episodes. Ty actually is pretty underrated himself. This guy, especially for being an enhancement talent, he has found a way to connect with the crowd. He's got a good look. There's very few people who are enhancement talents who can come out to the ring and the crowd is actually chanting, along with them, the whole 10 thing that he does.
Well, that 10 chant is what cost him the match, because he was in the corner doing the fists, where typically you count 1 to 10, and the crowd basically just started at 10, and then he looked off into outer space and then got thrown off and then into the finisher by Lorcan. So it definitely seems to me that they continue to plant the seeds that I think Dillinger is going to slowly try to work his way away from being a fan favorite.
That full-blown heel turn, I see it coming. I'm just excited to see more of Oni Lorcan. I'm just kind of curious as to what kind of fan base he's going to really build.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to kind of see where they take his character with this name, what kind of character they're going to build from it.
I am the one and Oni?
Well, that's a good start.
Hey, is there a suggestion box in NXT? I might just send that your way. But moving on to one of your lesser favorite NXT guys, but actually a guy who I really I find charismatic. I enjoy watching him from week to week. Mr. No Way Jose. He actually had a match against an enhancement talent by the name of Josh Woods, and I just, like I said, if nothing else, I admire this guy's energy. His energy is just there every single week. And the fact that he is able to keep it going, from the time he actually enters into the arena, throughout the match, and in this case, even at the conclusion of the match, when he had his little thing going on there with Austin Aries. And Austin Aries, I must say, man, we all know what the stereotype is, but I mean, hey, for a non-brother, this dude got some moves. What you think, Dale?
Well, it was like No Way Jose's approach was just, it's all about having fun and being who you are, and apparently Austin Aries is being who you are is not going the way of the fans, even though he was kind of half getting booed when he came out and interrupted.
Which surprised me a little bit.
Was that when he first showed up on No Way Jose, then he kind of got the dance and everybody was cheering, and then he jumped No Way Jose out the table. And then and then as soon as the beatdown segment was over, the crowd was chanting Aries, Aries, Aries. So it's like the NXT crowd that night was just very, very different to me.
They were kind of wishy-washy, weren't they?
Because they booed him, and then all of a sudden he turns heel, and then they start cheering him. So it was very odd.
And the thing is like Aries kind of lived up to the name that him and Rude, I believe, they were the tag team. They were the Dirty Hills over there in TNA, weren't they?
Correct.
Yeah, so he lived up to that name. Yeah, so I can honestly say I think this is an odd feud for No Way Jose and Aries, but I think if nothing else, definitely get some entertainment value out of it.
Well, what you're going to get from it is you're getting No Way Jose in his first big name feud against the guy that we know that can deliver in Austin Aries.
That can work.
Yep.
Yes.
And it's like, are we really all that surprised that that Austin Aries comes in face and then immediately turns heel as soon as he kind of gets through his first feud? It was like we've seen it with all the guys, like Samoa Joe did the exact same thing. Kevin Owens did the same thing. It all seems like they get cheered when they first get here because they're getting the cheers because the crowd is happy to see them in NXT.
Exactly.
So
yes.
So I applaud NXT for kind of holding that realm of just letting them be faces for a month or two and then flipping that switch to kind of the character that they want them to be.
Pulling that rug from underneath the fans' feet, man. So this week, someone else who we have, kind of grown familiar with from our time on the Indies, Bayley. Bayley made her return to NXT, and I must say, I noticed a lot more intensity, a lot more ferocity out of Bayley this past week here, especially when she was out there with Deonna Purrazzo. It's good to see Bayley back, and it's good to see her, she could be the hugger, she could be the fan favorite and all that, but yeah, I kind of like that they're exploring, the little bit of mean streak that she has in her a little bit.
Yeah, I think she needs to up her physicality game just to be able to compete with Nia Jax and Asuka. Otherwise, she's not going to get the NXT Women's Championship back.
Yeah, and I mean, there's really not really a whole lot we can say about the match against Deonna, but my goodness, jumping to Nia Jax versus Liv Morgan. Nia, who absolutely squashed Liv like a bug. Now, you want to talk about a true squash match. I mean, that was ugly. I almost felt sorry for Liv. I almost wanted to just kind of pick her up and just, give her a hug. Like Bayley would. I mean, that was brutal. And that power bomb actually looked pretty sick. I mean, I was just like, yeah, this is something good that they got going with Nia right now. She's kind of coming out there and asserting her authority over some of the other women in NXT.
Yeah, basically, it's like Nia has squashed essentially everybody at this point except for Asuka. So I think Nia is going to go ahead or go down that route again, continue to squash opponents, possibly get that match again with Asuka as we go forward.
And they definitely did the right thing by not letting her get a win over Asuka. Asuka is probably, I'd say, even more so than Bayley, probably my favorite worker on the female worker on the NXT roster because, like I said, she's just so snug. She's just so intense. I mean, when she's out there and so focused and whatnot. I just hope that the next time around, that we get something out of her and maybe possibly they give them a little bit more time to go out there because I didn't think that match really gave them a whole lot of time the last time they met up.
For sure. And speaking of snug, we had Shinsuke Nakamura taking on Mr. Murphy as Murphy wanted a chance to go so low as he interrupted, but he did, in his plea to get a singles match, interrupt the very big announcement that Nakamura and William Regal had, that in 3 weeks we will see Shinsuke Nakamura versus Finn Balor, which the key to that is that's the final NXT before the WWE draft.
That is correct.
So I definitely believe that is the final night of Finn Balor.
And I believe the same way. And what I'm just hoping is that they send him out with a bang. The last match between Nakamura and Aries, it was decent, but I mean it was definitely a bit of a cool down, a letdown from the match he had against Zayn at NXT Takeover Dallas. I'm hoping that these two just completely just tear the roof off the arena, man. They actually let Finn, pretty much pull all the tricks that he has out. Let Nakamura pretty much break open his moveset like they've never let him do before. I want Finn to go out, looking strong, because he's definitely not going to go out with the win, in my opinion.
I don't think so. It's like, it would be nice, but again, this is, I believe, all in a push to get Nakamura and maybe Samoa Joe, and I wouldn't be surprised if that is at Return to Brooklyn.
And if that does indeed happen, that is going to be a slugfest. I mean, you're talking about two hard hitters, two of the best strikers in pro wrestling today. If they give us Joe versus Nakamura, like I said, that match right there, and potentially Nakamura versus Hideo Itami, those are the two matches that I really want to see more so than any other pairings out of the whole entire WWE roster. I really hope we get to see that at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn. That would be cool.
Alrighty, Todd, we gotta get moving on here. Get us to going forward.
So thanks for tuning in to the No Gimmicks podcast with Dale Clifford and Todd Smith. Now we're gonna move on to our weekly Impact discussion. So, Hardy versus Hardy. Matt Hardy, broken Matt Hardy, versus Brother Nero, as he refers to him as, in the side of steel. Now, we were having this discussion from about a night or so ago, and we were saying that it seems like these two guys are progressing through every single type of stipulation match that TNA has available. They had the I Quit match. The match that they had at the last pay-per-view, what was the exact stipulation of that match? I can't quite remember.
Full Metal Mayhem?
Okay, so we had I Quit, Full Metal Mayhem, Sides of Steel. So the natural progression actually at this point would be what, an Ultimate X match? You thinking?
I was just like, I would have to think so, but it's also like, I get that these two are just putting everything that they got on the line every single time and just beating the living crap out of each other, doing things that you would really thought was past the point of the Hardys at this point in their careers.
Yes,
but
in some insane spots, too.
Jeff Hardy climbs a ladder that's on top of a turnbuckle and jumps off of a ladder that now is above the height of the top of the steel cage to finish.
Through what, 2 tables? Matt was stuck in between two, right?
2 tables, does a pancake with Matt Hardy through 2 tables. It's like, what are these two seriously going to be able to do to top what they keep doing? But that's the thing. They keep topping it. So I have no idea where we're going.
And this would be the ultimate, no pun intended, but like I said, I mentioned Ultimate X, but you rarely ever see this match in TNA anymore. I want to say AJ and Rhino might have had one of these matches years ago. Remember the Elevation X that they did
a little bit
at a pay-per-view years ago, where it's like a huge X, almost kind of like one of those large, like almost like a lighting rig kind of thing, and they actually raised that up until almost about the top of the arena of the Impact Zone, and then they battle it out almost like kind of like in a scaffold style match.
Okay, I got you. I think I vaguely remember it, but yeah, that's just the thing, is you got to figure each time that they've had the stipulation matches, they've done something to top the previous one. But really, at this point, really, what do we have? It's also the thing. I don't know how much farther we can keep going with Hardy versus Hardy. I love both Matt Hardy and Jeff Hardy, but I am kind of getting a little bit bored.
Kind of burn out on it. And if I were to envision it, like if I were to say the way that this is going to end, if you remember in old school ECW, they had this thing called High Incident, I believe it was, where I think it was Tommy Dreamer up against, I almost want to say it was like Primetime Brian Lee, and they showed the clip on the commercial of him just punching Brian Lee in the head repeatedly, and eventually he kind of falls off of the scaffold through this huge like stack of tables. That's the way I see this feud culminating for those two. I just can't see it in any other kind of way, where basically, yeah, one of them is just going to make this huge, spotlight, something we have not seen before in any of their other matches.
All right, we got to keep it quick here, about 2 minutes to touch on the next two things here.
So let's talk about Galloway and in EC3 versus Lashley and Eli Drake from this past week. So pretty much the end result was Drew Galloway and in EC3. They were the ones who came out on top, and they each are going to get a world title shot. I don't know. Like I said, it's funny because it seems to me like they're kind of inching towards turning Drew Galloway as a heel. That's the way it seems to me, and they're leaning more like kind of trying to solidify EC3 more as a face. He even kind of gave, like probably one of the only babyface promos I've seen him give, true babyface promos since he's been over there in TNA. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure who I see possibly taking the belt off of Lashley. Do you see either one of these two guys really having a true shot at it?
If it's going to be either one of them, it's EC3 getting reestablished as the top face again, and that would be very much, I think, seeing Drew flip a heel turn, and then EC3 is your top face, because that's the thing. You got Lashley against the top two faces besides Jeff Hardy.
Right.
So I don't know where it's going, but it was like, but again, maybe all of this works itself out to Lashley versus Jeff Hardy down the line. I don't know. It was like where we're going.
Yeah.
And then
it's like we can't avoid it, man.
And then also it's like, and we'll swing us forward. Also having no idea where we're going is what exactly is going on with Eddie Edwards as he drops the X Division.
Poor Eddie Edwards.
As he.
Poor Eddie Edwards.
That's all we can say at this point. He can't stay in a tag team because either he's getting injured or Dave Richards is getting injured.
The Wolves basically are kind of going through similar what happened with the Motor City Machine Guns during their tenure with TNA. It seemed like, the Motor City Machine Guns were probably not only the best tag team in that company, they might very well have been the best tag team in all of professional wrestling at the time, but it seemed like it took them forever to actually give them a world title run. And then when they finally did, neither one of them could stay healthy long enough. And this is really a shame because even though Davey Richards definitely, I would say, is the stronger worker out of the two, Eddie Edwards is no slouch in the ring. And this guy has just gotten completely lost in the shuffle since Davey Richards has been off screen, dealing with his injury. And for them to just, to take the title off of him that quick and put it around the waist of Mike Bennett, I'm just like, wow, man. I mean, I'm perplexed by this whole situation.
What do you think of my comparison? I kind of just thought of it right here. Eddie Edwards is Zack Ryder. Mike Bennett is The Miz.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I can actually go with that. I totally can. And let me guess. So Maria, that makes Maria Maurice.
Just a little bit. It's like
totally fitting.
It just kind of seems like Eddie Edwards was placed in between of taking a belt from a heel and immediately giving it to another heel that they have more of a direction for. Because now Mike Bennett's X Division champion. We got Destination X getting ready to come around, and he already is saying that he's getting ready to cash that option C. It was created by Austin Aries.
Right, exactly. Yeah, so, I mean, yeah, Mike Bennett with the whole holier than thou, I'm better than everyone, healer's demeanor and whatnot. Yeah, I think you were totally spot on with that one by comparing him to the Miz, Dale. So moving on
one last segment. Well, let's just touch on the interaction between Dixie Carter, the Bennetts, and Billy Corrigan. It was like,
okay.
And I was like, reading a little bit of reaction to this is everybody's like, I'm just hoping this doesn't lead to another power struggle type situation between Dixie Carter and Billy Corrigan.
Yeah, I'm not really exactly sure where they're going with this. And it just seemed like, Billy just completely took the side of Mike Bennett and Maria, and he didn't even try to vouch for Ditsy much at all throughout this whole entire ordeal. I actually think, I thought that Billy Corrigan, would actually listen to Smashing Pumpkins a little bit back in the day, and him just seemed like kind of a cool guy and whatnot. I thought he actually would be a little bit more charismatic and a little bit more likable on screen, but I said, I don't know. This guy's personality, I don't know if he really fits as a good on-screen, like director of authority kind of a role. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not really feeling him as a authority figure.
Yeah, I'm not really feeling it either.
We're gonna have to see something, maybe, I guess, that makes him turn as a bigger heel than just kind of siding with Bennett. I think we're gonna need to see him impact. Maybe when Bennett cashes in the X Division Championship, maybe it's Corrigan that helps Mike Bennett become the champion.
And I could very well see that happening. I totally could.
All right, we got about 10 minutes. And we still got a lot to go here, so let's get over to a Lucha, sir.
So moving on to our favorite topic of discussion during the No Gimmicks podcast, Dale. Let's talk some Lucha Underground here. So this week we had, a new character introduced to us, Nightclaw, the luchador Nightclaw, who was formerly known as Flamita from AAA down there in Mexico. So not only does this guy get the vote of confidence of being given one of the ancient Aztec medallions, he has a pretty cool look. I must say, he kind of almost reminds me of a Black Panther from Marvel's Captain America Civil War a little bit. What's your take on this?
Yep. I see that. I'm not quite sure where we're going. Well, I was when I was doing some research trying to figure out who this guy was, I discovered that Cage at one time also went by the name Nightclaw.
Huh. Interesting.
So at first I was like, is he Nightclaw in Lucha? But then you pointed me in the right direction of...
Yeah, because, I don't see how they could even try to pull that off because the size difference, and whatnot. And
absolutely agree. But my immediate reaction when I was trying to figure out who it was is Brian Cage popped up for Nightclaw, and I was like, oh, look at that. It was like, and it was on his Wikipedia
if
page.
they had him maybe possibly
you're
working some under a mask, kind of like, to kind of give him a little bit of an edge, kind of thing. That would have been interesting if they went that route.
But yeah, he doesn't need a rework in Lucha anyway.
No, not at all. So we also saw Daga versus Masquerita Sagrada for an Aztec medallion, and let's just say that Masquerita Sagrada came up a little bit short.
Wow, you went there.
My name is Todd Smith, everyone. I'll be here all night. Anyways.
And he's no longer in an attempt to be made famous.
Famous B turned on Masquerita and showed his true colors. So this slide-talking devil...
he beat him with the damn shoe.
Yeah, beat him with the shoe and had the audacity to tell him to go and get it, right?
No, not Masquerada.
It was the lady who was with him. I can't quite remember her name, but yeah, he said, "Go get my shoe," that kind of thing. Yeah.
Have you ever encountered being beaten with a shoe?
No, I think I've probably thrown my shoe at a couple people though back in my days. But yeah, man, this guy, Famous B, he wasn't fooling me. I knew that this guy had this in him. I just said, I don't get the feeling that this guy is gonna be, the slide talking. I'm going to try to make everybody famous, fan favorite. I said, this guy definitely has a ulterior method involved, or an ulterior motive, I guess I'm trying to say, involved in this.
Yeah, this Lucha Underground episode definitely had some goofy moments for me. It's like Famous B pulling off the shoe was a little bit
sucker
goofy.
Swap.
And then the sucker swap in the 6-man tag team match.
That was just weird.
Between Marty the Moth and Joey Ryan was just
almost,
wow.
Just kind of a little bit too creepy for my taste, if you ask me.
You're not going to sucker swap with nobody?
No.
I don't.
I
have a hard time.
Especially not Joey Ryan. Let's put it that way, because there's no telling where that sucker's been. Okay.
Who, as Vampiro referred to him, a couch with body oil.
Whenever I see that guy, like I said, I just can't get past it. I said, this dude reminds me of like an 80s adult film star, with the mustache and the body hair and all that with the baby oil. Yeah. Anyhow, as we know, probably I'd say the most underrated talent in Lucha Underground was a part of the trio that won this match here, Killshot. Let's talk about Killshot for a minute. Now, this dude here, if you remember from back in the day in WCW, they had this dude named Primetime Alette Skipper. Do you remember him?
Yes. I remember, did you say WCW?
Yeah,
I don't remember.
And TNA as well.
I remember him with
That
Impact.
guy was ridiculously athletic and agile and could just do some things that would make you do double takes. Like I remember one of the times he walked across the top of the cage in the sit sides of steel, and he gave someone a Hurricane Rana from the top of the cage. That's how athletic that dude was. That's who this guy Killshot reminds me of. When he did that spot where he ran up someone during a match and gave someone a I think he did like a flip off of him towards the outside. Wasn't that the spot?
Oh, I think you're right. I know where you're going.
I'm just like,
there's just so much. There's so much action in these matches.
It's hard to remember everything. Yeah, I just the only thing I don't like about Killshot is he had that really cool bat story there, where they kind of had the detailing of him being over there in the Middle East, and he was a sniper in the military and all that. And then once he got out, he kind of made his way into the underground fighting world, known as Lucha Underground. Why not explore that a little bit more? Because, like I'm saying, if he's gonna have that type of demeanor, let him actually kind of wear some of that soldier gear with him into the ring. He has the cool mask. Let him come out in some camos or something like that instead of the plain black attire that he sports. Go.
All he gets is the dog tags that he can't even get. That he can't even now regain possession of. As Marty
Snuck
the Moth
away
stole
with them
again.
Yeah, but I really like that guy Killshot, man. I really wish that that they kind of give him a little bit more of a push. But moving on here to the match that just absolutely stole the show this week. The women steal the show in Lucha Underground once again. As Setsy Star and Mariposa went up against Taya and Ivelisse. These four women, these are four tough female competitors who can go. Okay? And like I said, I think personally, I do not by any means vouch for the whole violence against women thing. But in the world of professional wrestling, it works a little bit differently. These women want the opportunity to compete against not only each other, but against the men as well, because they feel it's kind of an equal opportunity kind of thing. They trained with males, and whatnot. Why not have the opportunity to at least be able to compete against them as well? And all four of these ladies can go. They bring it each time that they step in the ring. Setsy Star and Mariposa wound up coming up on top on this. What did you think about this match here, Dale?
Not much different than you. Definitely feel like this was the match of Lucha Underground. And definitely a good showing for the women in the company. And it was just very surprised that we definitely saw all 7 Aztec medallions handed out in one episode.
Yeah, I kind of thought they maybe spread out, but they don't really have much time. How far are we from Ultima Lucha 2?
Not a couple weeks maybe, so we got to finish out filling out that card. And obviously I think one of the biggest matches that we're going to see at Ultima Lucha Dos is Prince Puma versus Rey Mysterio.
A dream match.
Yep, WWE provided us with sorts of a dream match with John Cena and AJ Styles. And in terms of the Lucha world, even though Prince Puma doesn't have much of a long Lucha background, he has a long independent background, and everybody knows him as Ricochet. Right. But you have him as Prince Puma, the up-and-coming luchador, against the greatest named luchador in Rey Mysterio.
Yeah, I see a passing of the torch coming here. Absolutely. It's going to be an absolute knockdown, drag-out of a match. Like I said, I am just so happy that Rey can still go in the ring, because when he had that match out here about a year or so ago, when me and Khalil Smith went and saw him out there in Waterbury, like I said, it seemed like the guy was doing everything in slow motion. I could not get over it. Everything from the 619 just to his general movement around the ring just seemed like it was all so slow. And I get to see him on Lucha Underground. This kind of brings back memories of where he was about 10 years ago in the ring. And Prince Puma is just a freakish athlete. I mean, the sits 30. The sits 30 is probably a move that's only done by maybe about 4 professional wrestlers that I could think of. Himself, Jack Evans. Neville used to use it prior to going to WWE, and they won't allow him to use it there for some godforsaken reason. And then Mr. Sits 30, Gerald Clark. I want to see him go over with that move over Rey Mysterio.
Yeah, this is the face of Lucha Underground versus the face of Lucha Wrestling. Yep. So very much looking forward to that one. I think Ultima Lucha Dos is going to turn out to be another stellar setup from Lucha Underground, and we got about 5 minutes to touch on Best in the World. So unfortunately, we're not given much time for Ring of Honor in what was a very packed show.
Yeah.
So let's just kind of begin with the match that started it off. Kyle O'Reilly versus Kamatachi, I guess. It's like I don't really know much about him.
Kamatachi, not familiar at all with him, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Kyle O'Reilly got the win. I think that's a big one for him because I think Kamatachi, I believe, is a New Japan guy. Best in the world, kind of mixes ROH with New Japan. And there we go. I think it's just, again, Kyle O'Reilly trying to stay near the top of the ladder in Ring of Honor. And maybe down the line get either to Jay Lethal or Adam Cole, who I know that Adam Cole, every time Kyle O'Reilly tries to get close to the ROH World title, wants to step in because he just does not believe that his former tag team partner can be ROH World Heavyweight Champion.
And the ultimate payoff will come when Kyle finally gets that victory over him. It's kind of reminding me of what happened in ECW back in the day with Raven and Tommy Dreamer. It took forever for Dreamer to get that win over Raven, but when it finally did happen, I mean, it was definitely worth the wait, and the fans just absolutely ate it up.
So it'll be interesting because I kind of feel like that could possibly be where we're going. It's like the continued long build, and the finally for Kyle O'Reilly, he'll get over to the top of Adam Cole, and then maybe he's the guy that ends the run of Jay Lethal as he once again took down Jay Briscoe in the main event.
Yeah. I'm not too surprised about that, and it's kind of one of those things where I just think right now they seem to be more focused on on the Briscoes, like getting wins as a tag team than big wins as a solo unit. But then I see here that that Mark actually got the victory over Roderick Strong, which is actually pretty surprising to me.
Yeah, I'm definitely surprised by that one, but I think a lot of that has to do with Roderick Strong's time in Ring of Honor
maybe coming to an end. Yes, we've heard the rumors this past week that WWE is interested in both him and Moose.
Yep. And I know that you have touched on Moose in his comparisons to Titus O'Neil, and I did want to throw out the one slight is that Titus O'Neil is the main roster guy, and I think Moose is going to be an NXT guy, and I do not believe that WWE sees that as any similarity because it's one brand to another.
Yeah, and it's very interesting because, like I said, those two, they look so much alike. They have such similar backgrounds, both football backgrounds, and whatnot. Both African American, right around the same size too. I'd say probably about 6'5", 6'6", about around 300 pounds with the shaved head and the facial hair and whatnot. I said, the two ways they could go with that is definitely at some point possibly to tag those two up, or kind of have them go head to head, And I think Moose, once he gets some time in the ring down there in NXT, we'll get to see that guy is so much further along with his training and further along with his in-ring skills than Titus. It's absolutely ridiculous. That drop kick that he throws is probably one of the best in the business, in my opinion.
I just see Moose is a little bit more athletic because he kind of does some over-the-top rope
some planches
stuff
and whatnot.
And really, Titus just kind of stays to the big, giant guy.
Like the big man moveset, basically.
The big man moveset, there you go. And obviously, Moose was tagged up with War Machine as they took on the Bullet Club of Young Bucks and Adam Cole. Young Bucks ended up winning, or Young Bucks. Bullet Club ended up coming out on top. So it'll be interesting to kind of see where we go with that, as War Machine's no longer the champions.
Right.
If now we see down the line the Young Bucks going after the Addiction, who were able to retain the tag team championships thanks to interference by Kamatachi.
That name again.
When Addiction, there it is again, as he attacked a guy, I believe Jay White.
Jay White from New Japan, actually from, I want to say from down there in New Zealand, I think. I'm pretty sure that's where Jay White's from.
So I think they're working, I don't know if that's a tie into just being a New Japan angle at Best of the World, or if Jay White's going to start making some appearances for Ring of Honor. But the Addiction goes over the top of the Motor City Machine Guns. Really not really surprised there. I think Motor City Machine Guns, I think, just need to build themselves back up as being a healthy tag team.
Right.
Before they finally get anywhere near being a champion again.
And one name that I'm seeing here, I'm just like wowed when I saw this. Kevin Sullivan, of all people, whose name I have not probably heard in about the better part of over a decade, formerly, from WCW, tied in with the Varsity Club and the Dungeon of Doom. So this guy makes a surprise appearance during what I heard was an absolute bloodbath between Steve Corino and BJ Whitmer in the unsanctioned fight without honor. Wow. I mean, you talk about a guy who's been a part of some bloodbaths and some crazy, like street fight matches back in the day himself. So it's very intriguing to see what part he's going to have in this storyline between these two. And Whitmer, he went over in that match against Corino, it sounds like.
Yeah, it was like BJ won thanks to the surprise appearance of Kevin Sullivan, which I have no idea where this is going to go between him and now Steve Corino. Right. Because you have to figure Steve's not going to be happy with Kevin Sullivan showing up out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. But yeah, definitely a bloodbath. Was like with earmarks of ECW written all over it.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Nope. Yeah. I can't complain with that. It's like this match lived up to the words "unsanctioned fight without honor." It lived up to it. And then one final thing before we go real quick was Bobby Fish taking on Dalton Castle for the television title. Bobby Fish retained. I'm pretty sure that was a pretty solid match. Both those guys are very good. Bobby Fish is underrated. I think he kind of gets hidden a little bit behind Kyle O'Reilly in Red Dragon.
Yeah, that's.
And then Dalton Castle, he definitely a unique character for sure. I just don't think he's quite ready to be a champion. So not surprised that Bobby Fish went.
No, ROH's version of Freddie Mercury from Queen is not ready yet. not yet. But that dude, like I said, he is definitely one of the most unique characters in all wrestling. He's got a huge following over there in ROH. His time will come in due time. And last but not least, it looks like the All Night Express is now pairing up with Caprice Coleman, who I believe is going to be involved in the Cruiserweight Classic later on this summer with the WWE to form a stable called the Cabinet.
Well, that's interesting that he's still hanging on in Ring of Honor, which is a televised program, and is going to be on the CWC.
And not to mention the name that they're using there, the Cabinet, that has been used once before actually by JBL when he had his stable. Early on in the WWE when he had his run with, I believe it was Orlando Jordan was a part of it, the Basham brothers, I think, were his secretaries of defense. You remember that whole thing? Yeah. So we could go on and on all night, as talking about wrestling. That's what me and Dale do. But unfortunately, this time we have to wrap things up for you guys. So thanks for joining us for another week here of the No Gimmicks podcast. We encourage you to visit our YouTube page and subscribe to our official YouTube channel. Also, make sure that you like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. And be on the lookout, usually on Monday afternoons when our episodes are updated and posted to our page. Usually I'll share the links on my LinkedIn account as well. So for my boy Dale Clifford out there in Fernley, Nevada, and for myself, Todd Smith, I say thank you for joining us on No Gimmicks Podcast. Until next week, y'all take care.